It started like any ordinary Tuesday evening. The sun dipped behind the houses on Maplewood Lane, throwing long shadows across the quiet cul-de-sac. I pulled my car into my own driveway after another long day at work, exhausted but relieved to be home. I was halfway out of my car when I noticed something strange, a faint red light flickering from across the street. At first, I thought it was just a reflection, but when I looked closer, I saw it. A small camera lens pointed directly at my house. It was mounted awkwardly on a tree, aimed right where I parked my car. I blinked, trying to process it. Who in their right mind would be recording me in my own driveway? The next morning, my question was answered. My neighbor Linda, better known around the neighborhood as Karen, stood outside with her arms crossed. She was in her usual outfit, bright floral robe, slippers, and a glare that could curdle milk. As soon as she saw me step outside, she yelled across the street, "Excuse me." "You can't park there!" I stared at her, confused. "In my own driveway?" I asked. She huffed. "It's blocking the view of the street, and it's dangerous for pedestrians." Pedestrians! We lived at the end of a cul-de-sac. Nobody ever walked here except for her. I laughed it off, thinking she was just having one of her Karen moments. But later that day, my wife showed me something that wiped the smile off my face. On our local Facebook neighborhood page, Linda had posted a video of me parking in my driveway. The caption read, "Another inconsiderate homeowner endangering our community." Hundreds of people had seen it. Some even commented in her defense. She'd uploaded the clip straight from her security feed, the same camera I'd seen pointed at my house. That's when I realized this wasn't just another neighborhood complaint. She was spying on me, recording me without consent, and trying to humiliate me online. By the end of the week, I'd found 3 more cameras, one on a lamppost, another hidden in her front garden, and one stuck to a bird feeder, all aimed in my direction. Something about the whole thing felt wrong, illegal even. But I knew confronting her directly might make things worse. Still, one thought kept circling my mind. If she wants to play the surveillance game, maybe it's time someone recorded her back. By the weekend, I couldn't take it anymore. Every time I pulled into my driveway, that red blinking light across the street made my blood boil. I'd start my car, step out, and there it was, Linda's little spy camera, recording my every move like I was some kind of criminal. So I decided to fight fire with fire. Saturday morning, I went to the electronics store and bought a set of my own security. Cameras, top of the line, motion activated, full HD. If she wanted to film me, then I'd film her filming me. When I set them up, I made sure one camera was aimed straight at her house. Not in a creepy way, just enough to capture her standing in her yard with that phone of hers. The irony was perfect. That evening, as I adjusted one of the cameras on my porch, she noticed. Her face twisted into that signature. "Karen Glare." She marched across the street, clutching her phone. "What do you think you're doing?" she demanded. "I didn't even flinch. Protecting my property, same as you." She gasped as if I'd confessed to a crime. "That's invasion of privacy!" I almost laughed. Funny, coming from someone who's got 3 cameras pointed at my house. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Then she stormed off, muttering something about calling the HOA. Within hours, I got an email from the Homeowners Association. The subject line read, "Neighborhood Privacy Complaint," and, of course, the complaint came from Linda. She accused me of illegally recording private residences. I wrote back immediately. "My cameras only monitor my own property. Any footage of neighboring homes is incidental." Then, just to drive the point home, I attached screenshots of her cameras pointing directly at my driveway. That was the moment I realized something deeper was happening. This wasn't just about parking or cameras. It was about control. She wanted to dictate how everyone in the neighborhood lived, what they parked, how they mowed their lawns, even how long their porch light stayed on. And the Facebook posts? They were just her ammunition. But here's where it got interesting, because a few days later, one of my cameras caught something she didn't want anyone to see. Late at night, around 1 a.m., I checked my motion alerts and saw her sneaking around near my property line, adjusting one of her cameras on my side of the fence. That was the proof I needed. I downloaded the footage, labeled it Evidence A, and smiled. If she wanted a war of cameras, she was about to lose it. The HOA scheduled the hearing for the following Thursday evening. The email said it would be a neutral discussion regarding community. Privacy and conduct, I knew better. It was Linda's stage, and she was ready to perform. When I walked into the small community hall, Linda was already there, arms crossed. Phone in hand, expression smug enough to curdle milk. 3 HOA board members sat behind a folding table, looking exhausted before the meeting had even begun. She didn't waste a second. "There he is!" she announced, pointing at me like she'd just caught a fugitive. "He's been harassing me with cameras, recording my property and invading my privacy." I took a seat, calm as ever. "You mean recording my own driveway? The one you've been filming for weeks?" The board chair, a gray-haired man named Mr. Duffy, raised his hand. "Let's keep this civil. Mr. Turner, we've received multiple complaints and video evidence from Ms. Linda here." Linda smirked and pulled out her phone. "I have dozens of clips showing him parking carelessly, blocking sight lines and violating HOA standards." She played one of her videos, a shaky clip of me backing into my driveway. It looked absurd. "That's me parking," I said, trying not to laugh. She nodded sharply. "Exactly. Dangerous and inconsiderate." I turned to Mr. Duffy. "Would it be okay if I share my own footage?" He nodded. I opened my laptop and played the video. From my security feed, the one from 1 a.m., the room went silent. There she was, creeping near my fence in the middle of the night, adjusting her camera, clearly crossing onto my property. Mr. Duffy leaned forward. "Ms. Linda, is that you?" She froze. That's taken out of context." "Out of context," I said. "You're literally trespassing and recording my home." One of the other board members sighed. "Linda, this is unacceptable. Installing cameras aimed at a neighbor's house violates both privacy, laws, and HOA policy." Her confidence evaporated. But he pointed cameras at me first." Mr. Duffy shook his head. "In response to your actions, we'll be issuing you a written notice and requesting you remove all unauthorized cameras immediately." The look on her face was priceless, pure disbelief mixed with outrage. I stood up slowly, closing my laptop. "Next time, maybe worry less about my driveway and more about your own boundaries." The board dismissed the meeting. As I walked out, I could hear her muttering under her breath, swearing revenge. And deep down, I knew this wasn't over. After the HOA hearing, things were quiet for a while. Too quiet. Linda stopped yelling across the street. Her curtains stayed drawn. The cameras on her property disappeared one by one. For the first time in months, I could park in my driveway without feeling watched. But if there's one thing I'd learned about her, it's that she didn't give up easily. Karen types never do. 2 weeks later, a new drama started brewing. It began with an envelope taped to my mailbox. No postage, no name. Inside was a printed photo of me and my wife, taken from an angle that could only have come from her window. On the back, in messy handwriting, were 3 words. "You've been warned." I showed it to my wife, and she immediately said, "Call the police." So I did. When the officer arrived, he was polite but skeptical until I pulled up the footage from my security camera. There she was again, crossing the street in the middle of the night, creeping up to my mailbox, taping the envelope, and then sprinting back across the road like some secret agent gone wrong. The officer whistled. "That's enough for a harassment report." By morning, 2 squad cars were parked in front of her house. The whole neighborhood came out to watch. Linda stood on her porch, arguing furiously with the officers, pointing toward my home like I was the one who'd done something wrong. But it didn't matter. The footage spoke for itself. Later that day, she was served with an official notice of harassment and trespassing. The police warned her that any further contact or surveillance would result in charges. That night, as I sat on my porch, I noticed something strange. A small box on her lawn, filled with tangled wires and broken cameras. She was tossing them out one by one, muttering to herself. It was almost sad. Almost. A week passed, then another. The Facebook group went silent. No more posts about dangerous neighbors. No more shaky phone footage. Just peace. And then one morning, a moving truck pulled up in front of her house. She was finally leaving. I watched from my driveway, coffee in hand, as she slammed her car door and sped off without a goodbye. The camera that once watched my every move was gone, replaced by sunlight and quiet. As the truck pulled away, I couldn't help but smile. The woman who once filmed me for parking in my own driveway had been caught by her own cameras. It had been almost 3 peaceful months since Linda moved out. The neighborhood felt lighter, calmer, like a storm had finally passed. No yelling, no Facebook rants, no blinking red lights pointed at my window, until one morning I found a package on my porch. No address, no name, just my house number scribbled in marker. Inside was a small black security camera and a folded note. "Keep your eyes open. A friend." I frowned. It wasn't her handwriting, but something about it felt too familiar. I checked my camera's playback from the night before, but there was nothing. No motion alert, no delivery caught on film. Whoever dropped it off had been careful. I brushed it off at first, assuming it was a prank. But a few days later, I noticed something odd. One of my own cameras had shifted slightly. The angle was off, pointing toward the street instead of the driveway. I didn't touch it. Neither did my wife. That night, as I scrolled through footage, I saw movement, a figure standing by the old tree across the street. The person wore a hoodie and carried what looked like a phone on a tripod. For a moment, my heart stopped. Could it be? The next morning, I went to the HOA office and asked about the sale of Linda's old house. The manager flipped through some papers, then gave me a confused look. "She sold it to her sister," he said. "Name's, Lydia." "Lydia, of course." That same evening, I caught her outside. Same posture, same stance, same energy. She was standing near the mailbox, phone aimed in my direction. I walked up, calm but firm. "Déjà vu, isn't it?" I said. She gave me a fake smile. "I'm not recording you, just documenting suspicious behavior." I laughed softly. "Suspicious? You mean me parking in my own driveway again?" She blinked. "Oh, so you're the one who made my sister move." Ah, there it was, the real reason. Revenge ran in the family. I leaned in slightly. "Tell you what, I've got 4 cameras running, all pointed legally at my property. If any of them catch you trespassing, I'll send the footage straight to the police. They already know your sister's story." Her smirk faded. Without another word, she turned and walked back inside. As I watched her door close, a chill ran down my spine. Maybe this neighborhood wasn't done testing me yet. Because if one thing's certain, it's that on Maplewood Lane, Karens don't disappear. They multiply,